Lando claims he is ready to make the biggest title comeback. Lewis has been advised on Ferrari improvements and all the latest F1 news. It's the story of the decade. Lewis Hamilton, the most successful driver in F1 history, leaving the German powerhouse of Mercedes to join the most iconic, most storied, and most pressure-filled team in all of sports, Scuderia Ferrari. It's a dream narrative, a fusion of legend and legacy that has sent shockwaves around the world. But not everyone is buying the fairy tale. In fact, one of the most important figures in recent Ferrari history has just thrown a bucket of cold Italian ice water on the entire idea. Mattia Binotto, the former team principal and architect of Ferrari's last championship contending cars, has once again voiced his deep skepticism. He's not just questioning the move, he's fundamentally questioning whether the very essence of Lewis Hamilton can survive the brutal, unforgiving reality of Maranello. Today, we're breaking down Binotto's bombshell comments. This isn't just gossip. This is an insider's perspective that exposes the immense cultural gamble Hamilton is about to take. Chapter 1. The Binotto Verdict, a direct quote from the architect first. Let's hear it from the man himself. Speaking to Swiss outlet Blick, Mattia Binotto was asked about the Hamilton-Ferrari union. His response was stark. I appreciate Lewis and his greatness. He is a great driver, an incredible driver, but I again have my doubts about this marriage. Ferrari is a unique team. It requires a certain type of driver, a certain mentality to handle the pressure, the politics, the weight of history. It is not for everyone. It is a different world to what he is used to. He then added a crucial technical point often overlooked in the glamour of the move. The 2026 regulations are a complete unknown. It is a big risk for any driver to change teams at such a time. You are betting on a project that does not yet exist on paper. For someone of his age at the end of his career, it is a brave, or perhaps foolish, gamble. This is more than just an opinion. It's a diagnosis from a man who spent his entire career inside the Ferrari system. He's highlighting two distinct threats: the cultural shock and the technical gamble. Chapter 2. The Culture Shock, Mercedes versus. The Ferrari universe. Binotto's primary concern is cultural. To understand it, we must contrast the two environments Hamilton is moving between. The Mercedes way, the German machine. Under Toto Wolff, Mercedes has been a model of Anglo-German efficiency. It is a methodical, data-driven, and stable environment. The chain of command is clear. The culture is one of calm, collective problem-solving. Hamilton has been the crown prince of this kingdom for a decade. He has had immense influence, a stable engineering team, and the unwavering support of the entire organization. It's a corporate powerhouse that happens to go racing. The Ferrari way, the Italian opera. Ferrari is not a company that goes racing. It is a racing company that sometimes sells cars. It is an emotional, passionate, and politically charged institution. The pressure from the Italian media, Tifosi, Corriere dello Sport, La Gazzetta dello Sport, is relentless and brutal. The expectations are astronomical. Every decision is dissected, every failure is a tragedy, and every win is a minimum expectation. The team is constantly under the microscope of its parent company, Fiat, and its executive chairman, John Elkann. It is a pressure cooker. Binotto himself was ultimately consumed by it. Hamilton's leadership style, open, vocal, and spiritually focused, is a product of the Mercedes environment. Binotto is questioning whether that style can thrive or even survive in the intense, traditional, and often chaotic world of Maranello. Chapter 3. The 2026 Gamble. Betting on a ghost beyond the culture. Binotto highlights the immense technical risk that many are choosing to ignore in the glamour of the story. The clean sheet of paper. The 2026 regulations are a total reset. New power units, new aerodynamics, new chassis rules. Every team is starting from zero. This was likely a key selling point for Hamilton. It's a chance to build a car around him from the ground up, rather than inheriting a concept designed for another driver, Charles Leclerc. The Ferrari factor. However, as Binotto knows all too well, Ferrari's recent history with regulatory resets is mixed. They started the 2022 season strongly, but were eventually overtaken by Red Bull's development pace. The pressure to get it right immediately will be immense. Any early struggle in 2026 will be magnified 1,000 times by the media and the Tifosi. The The age factor. Hamilton will be 41 years old at the start of the 2026 season. He is signing a multi-year deal, so this is likely his final contract in Formula One. If the 2026 Ferrari is not a winner from the outset, he will have no time to wait for a recovery. His final years in the sport could be spent in a frustrating midfield battle, a far cry from the storybook ending he and Ferrari are envisioning. Chapter 4. The Counter-Argument. Why Binotto might be wrong. Of course, this is not a one-sided argument. There are compelling reasons to believe Hamilton can succeed where Binotto thinks he might fail. The final challenge. Motivation. Hamilton has achieved everything there is to achieve with Mercedes. The challenge of lifting the Ferrari team to an 8th championship, a feat not accomplished since Kimi Räikkönen in 2007, is the only thing that can motivate a driver of his accomplishments. This isn't a mere contract, it's a mission. His global stature. Hamilton is not just any driver, he is a global icon whose fame transcends Formula One. This gives him a layer of protection that previous Ferrari drivers did not have. The team needs his star power as much as he needs their legacy. This could grant him unprecedented influence and insulation from internal politics. Fred Vasseur's leadership, the Ferrari that Hamilton is. Joining is not exactly the same as Binotto's Ferrari. Team principal Frédéric Vasseur is a no-nonsense operator and, crucially, has a long-standing, strong relationship with Hamilton from their days in junior formulae. Vasseur is likely building a structure that can support Hamilton's unique needs. Conclusion. The greatest gamble in F1 history. Mattia Binotto's doubts are not those of a bitter ex-employee. They are a sobering reality check from a man who knows the soul of Ferrari better than almost anyone. He is right to point out that Hamilton is walking away from a perfectly calibrated environment into a glorious but volatile pressure cooker. He is right that betting his final chapter on an unproven 2026 car is a monumental risk. However, great drivers are defined by great challenges. For Lewis Hamilton, the lure of the prancing horse, the dream of wearing the red suit, and the chance to achieve the impossible one last time outweigh the stark warnings from those who have been burned by the fire before. The collision between F1's most methodical superstar and sport's most emotional institution will be the defining story of 2025. Binotto might be wrong, but his warning ensures we all understand the stakes. This isn't just a driver transfer,
He is a 7-time world champion, a driver with more wins, poles, and podiums than any other in the history of Formula One. For a decade, Lewis Hamilton was the benchmark, the undisputed king who combined sublime talent with a dominant machine. But the last 2.5 seasons have told a very different story. A story of frustration, of a car that won't behave, and of a driver who, at times, has seemed visibly defeated. In the wake of another difficult weekend, the narrative has begun to shift. Is Lewis Hamilton simply past his peak? Or is he a victim of Mercedes' failure to provide him with a competitive car? F1 veteran and 13-time Grand Prix winner David Coulthard has waded into this debate with a characteristically direct and controversial take, and his conclusion is a brutal one for Mercedes. Today, we're dissecting Coulthard's comments, separating fact from opinion, and asking the painful question, is Lewis Hamilton's decline a matter of age or engineering? The Coulthard comment, I don't buy it. Let's get straight to the source. Writing in his column for Formula1.com, David Coulthard addressed the idea that Lewis Hamilton might be past his best. I don't believe for a second that Lewis is past his peak. I don't buy that. You don't just suddenly lose your ability to drive a Formula One car. He is one of the most successful drivers of all time. He hasn't forgotten how to drive. The reality is that he is in a car that is not allowing him to show his true potential. Coulthard then doubled down, aiming his fire squarely at the team. The car is the problem. It's as simple as that. We've seen it before with great drivers in bad cars. They look human. They make mistakes. They get frustrated. That's not a decline in talent. That's a natural reaction to a tool that isn't working. This is a powerful intervention from a former driver who has experienced both winning and losing cars. He's completely dismissing the age argument and placing the blame entirely on the machinery, the evidence. What does the data say? Coulthard's opinion isn't just a hunch. It's supported by observable evidence. To determine if a driver is declining, you have to look at their performance relative to their teammate. He is a highly rated race-winning driver in his prime, often referred to as a future world champion. The head-to-head battle between Hamilton and Russell is the most relevant data point. 2022. Hamilton finished behind Russell in the championship. This was a major shock and fueled the decline narrative. However, context is key. Hamilton was used as a test mule for much of the season, running experimental setups to understand the volatile W13, often at the cost of his own weekend, 2023. The pendulum swung back. Hamilton soundly outperformed Russell over the season, out-qualifying and out-racing him more often than not. He secured more podiums and was the only non-Red Bull driver to win a race, albeit one that was later taken away. This demonstrated that when the car was somewhat drivable, Hamilton's raw speed was very much intact, 2024 so far. The battle is incredibly tight. The qualifying head-to-head is nearly even, and points are close. This doesn't suggest a driver being destroyed by his younger teammate. It suggests two elite drivers struggling with an inconsistent and unpredictable car. The data suggests fluctuation, not a linear decline. His performance is directly correlated to the car's drivability, the psychology of a difficult car, how it breeds mistakes. Coulthard's point about frustration is a crucial one. This is the psychological aspect that is often overlooked, the erosion of confidence. A driver like Hamilton operates on muscle memory and supreme confidence. He knows what a winning car feels like. The current Mercedes W15 is described as unpredictable, with a narrow operating window. This means the car only works if the setup is absolutely perfect. This erodes confidence. If a driver doesn't trust that the rear end will stick through a corner, they hesitate. Hesitation in F1 means lost tenths. The forcing of errors. When a car is slow, a driver has to overdrive it to try and extract performance. They push beyond the car's limits. This is when we see uncharacteristic mistakes, lockups, running wide, even crashes. These aren't signs of diminished skill. They are signs of a driver trying to compensate for a car's fundamental weaknesses. We saw this with Sebastian Vettel at the end of his Ferrari tenure and in his final years at Aston Martin. The radio messages. Hamilton's frustrated radio messages are not the whining of a spoiled champion. They are the live, raw reactions of a perfectionist who cannot understand why the machine beneath him won't respond as he expects. It's the sound of a driver communicating the car's flaws in real time. The age argument. Is there any merit? While Coulthard dismisses it, we have to address the elephant in the room. Lewis Hamilton is 39 years old. He will be 40 when he joins Ferrari. Does age play a factor? Reflexes. Studies have shown that driver reflexes remain elite well into their 40 seconds. What declines more noticeably is the ability to quickly recover from fatigue. A double-header race weekend is harder on an older driver. Motivation. This is the bigger risk. After winning 7 titles, finding the motivation to fight for P5 every weekend is incredibly difficult. However, Hamilton's impending move to Ferrari has arguably reignited that motivation. The fire to win an 8th title, especially with the Scuderia, is a powerful stimulant. The Alonso counterargument. The best argument against the age decline theory is Fernando Alonso. At 42, Alonso is driving arguably better than ever, extracting every ounce of performance from his Aston Martin. He is proof that experience and racecraft can not only compensate for any prevort, minuscule loss of reflex, but can actually make a driver more complete. Conclusion. A machine problem, not a human. One David Coulthard's take, while brutally frank for Mercedes, is almost certainly correct. The idea that Lewis Hamilton has forgotten how to drive is absurd. The evidence points to a simple, yet damning conclusion. The Mercedes W15, like its 2 predecessors, is a difficult and fundamentally flawed car. It doesn't suit Hamilton's driving style, which relies on a stable rear end. It masks his talent and amplifies his frustrations. George Russell, being younger and less ingrained in a specific driving style, may be able to adapt to its quirks slightly better at times, but even he is not consistently performing miracles with it. Lewis Hamilton isn't past his peak. He's just stuck in a valley, waiting for his team or his new team at Ferrari to provide him with a car that can once again match the mountaintop level of his talent. To write off a driver of his caliber based on 2 difficult years is to misunderstand the fundamental truth of Formula One. The driver is only as good as the machine they are given. What happens when you take the greatest Formula One designer of a generation, you unshackle him from the restrictive rules of the sports rulebook, and you tell him to build the ultimate track car, regardless of cost? You don't get a Formula One car. You get something more. you get a statement. You get a $6.5 million, 1,200 horsepower ground effect missile that represents the absolute pinnacle of what is possible with current technology. You get the Red Bull RB17. Today, we are diving deep into the recently unveiled and utterly breathtaking Red Bull RB17 hypercar. This isn't just another hypercar. This is Adrian Newey's magnum opus, his love letter to aerodynamic perfection, and arguably the most significant road car, track car to come out of Formula One since, ever. We're going to break down every insane detail, the technology it borrows from F1, the philosophy behind it, and why this car is a seismic event in the automotive world. But before we get into the nitty-gritty, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell, because we've got a huge series of F1 news to cover, from driver markets to engine fears for 2026. This is just the start. Let's rewind a little. The RB17 wasn't born out of a simple desire to make a profitable side project. This car has a much more fascinating origin story. It's a story of frustration, ambition, and pure engineering passion. The primary catalyst? The 2021 Formula One technical regulations. For those who need a refresher, the 2021 regs were initially meant to be a dramatic overhaul, introducing a new ground effect philosophy to allow cars to follow each other more closely. A concept that Adrian Newey, the master of aerodynamics, was undoubtedly thrilled by. However, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, these sweeping new rules were postponed to 2022. The teams had to continue with their existing cars for an extra year, with a token system for development. For a mind like Newey's, which constantly craves new challenges and innovation, this was a form of creative purgatory. So, what does a genius do when he's bored? He starts sketching. Christian Horner, the team principal of Red Bull Racing, has openly stated that the RB17 project was initiated to keep Adrian Newey's brilliant mind engaged and within the Red Bull family during this period of relative stagnation. It was a retention strategy of the highest order. They gave him a blank sheet of paper and said, "Go wild. Build the car you've always wanted to build, without any rules, without any budget constraints, without any compromise." This is crucial to understand. The Aston Martin Valkyrie, another Newey-designed hypercar, was incredible, but it was still a collaboration, a project with an external automotive manufacturer, Aston Martin, and had to consider certain road legality requirements. The RB17 is different. It is a purely Red Bull project. It is designed, engineered, and will be built entirely in-house at Red Bull Advanced Technologies in Milton Keynes. It answers to no one except the laws of physics and the vision of Adrian Newey. This purity of purpose is what makes the RB17 so special. Furthermore, it's a stunningly clever business move. By limiting production to just 50 units, all of which are likely already spoken for, Red Bull creates an ultra-exclusive halo product. It's not about making mass-market money. It's about cementing the Red Bull brand as the absolute apex of performance engineering, beyond just a race team. It's a rolling advertisement for their technical capabilities, attracting commercial partners and top-tier engineering talent who want to work on the most extreme projects on the planet. Okay, let's get to the good stuff. The numbers are, frankly, ludicrous, but it's the how that is truly fascinating. This is where we see Newey's F1 philosophy applied without restraint. The powertrain, a twin-turbo V8 Symphony. At the heart of the RB17 is a twin-turbo V8 Symphony, completely bespoke, naturally aspirated 4.5-liter V10? Nope. A hybrid V6 like in F1? Not quite. It's a roaring, twin-turbocharged V8 hybrid powertrain. Red Bull is targeting a combined power output of 1,200 brake horsepower. Let that number sink in. The internal combustion engine alone is rumored to be revving to an ear-splitting 15,000 revolutions per minute, a scream that will be pure music to any petrol head's ears. But the hybrid element is key. It's not there just for efficiency. It's a performance multiplier. The electric motor will fill in the torque gaps, providing brutal acceleration out of corners, much like the MGU-K system in an F1 car. This system will also likely allow for a limited all-electric mode for pit lane use, but its primary job is to add violence to the car's acceleration. The entire package will weigh less than 900 kilograms, giving it a power-to-weight ratio that obliterates almost anything else on Earth. The chassis and aerodynamics, the real magic. This is where the RB17 truly becomes an F1 car for the road, or rather, for the track. The core of its performance is a full ground effect underfloor, just like the current generation of F1 cars. Ground effect is the art of using the underside of the car to create a low-pressure area, effectively sucking the car onto the track, generating immense downforce without the need for huge, draggy wings. But Newey has taken this to the next level. Unencumbered by F1 regulations that dictate the shape of the floor, the size of the diffuser, and the use of certain aerodynamic devices, he has been free to design the most efficient ground effect system possible. We're talking about a floor that is likely a masterpiece of curvature and vortex generation. The car will also feature active suspension, a technology banned in F1 since the early 1990 seconds. Active suspension allows the car to maintain a perfect ride height relative to the track surface, optimizing the ground effect platform at all times, whether under braking, cornering, or acceleration. This is a game changer. The rear wing is a work of art in itself. It's a swan neck design mounted from the top, which allows for a completely clean underside to the wing element, increasing its efficiency. It's a design seen in modern F1 and high-end endurance racing. The entire car is a carbon fiber monocoque, just like an F1 chassis, providing immense rigidity and safety for the driver. The driver experience. F1 for Billionaires Red Bull has stated that the RB17's performance will be comparable to a current Formula One car. Think about that. This isn't a car you can just hop into and drive. This is why Red Bull will offer every buyer a comprehensive driver development program. They will be flown to Milton Keynes for simulator sessions, and they will receive professional coaching from Red Bull's own drivers. You're not just buying a car, you're buying an entry into the Red Bull racing family, a chance to be trained to handle one of the most extreme machines ever built. The cockpit will be a Spartan, focused environment. It will feature a carbon fiber steering wheel laden with controls, a digital display, and a seating position that is pure race car. It's built for one purpose and one purpose only: lap time. The RB17 is more than a collection of impressive specs. It represents a philosophical stand. In an era where the automotive industry is overwhelmingly focused on electrification, sustainability, and autonomy, the RB17 is a defiant, glorious celebration of the analog, the visceral, and the driver-centric. It's a car that appeals to emotion over logic, to passion over practicality. It's the ultimate toy for the ultra-wealthy, yes, but it's also a time capsule. It captures a specific moment in engineering history, the peak of the internal combustion engine, augmented but not replaced by hybrid technology, and the absolute mastery of aerodynamic principles by a single individual. It is Adrian Newey's legacy car. It also cements Red Bull's transition from an energy drink company that owned a race team to a genuine technological powerhouse and a manufacturer in its own right. They are no longer just a sponsor or a branding exercise. They are now creators of arguably the most desirable performance object on the planet. Where does the RB17 sit in the hypercar pantheon? It exists in a rarefied space with the Aston Martin Valkyrie and the Mercedes-AMG 1, both F1 cars for the road. But the RB17 seems to take the concept a step further. The Valkyrie was a collaboration and had to be slightly diluted for road use. The AMG 1 is a technological marvel, but famously struggled to make its actual F1 powertrain meet road emissions and reliability standards. The RB17 avoids these compromises entirely. It's not a road car, it's a track day weapon, pure and simple. It has no pretensions of being driven to the grocery store. This singular focus is its greatest strength. It will be lighter, more powerful, and more aerodynamically potent than its rivals because it didn't have to make any sacrifices. The Red Bull RB17 is not merely a car. It is a spectacle. It is a testament to what happens when you combine limitless resources with limitless talent. It is Adrian Newey unleashed, a rolling piece of art that also happens to be one of the fastest things ever to lap a circuit. For the 50 lucky owners, it will be the centerpiece of their collection. For the rest of us, it's a thing of beauty to admire, a symbol of engineering ambition that pushes the boundaries of what we believe is possible. It's a reminder that even in the increasingly corporate and regulated world of Formula One, the spirit of insane, no-holds-barred innovation is still alive and well, and it's currently residing in Milton Keynes. What do you think? Is the RB17 the ultimate track car, or is it an overpriced toy for the 0.1%? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to check out the next video where we break down the shocking driver market moves, including where Carlos Sainz might end up. Smash that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. He is the enigma, the eternal warrior, the drive. Earlier this year, Red Bull's parent company launched an independent investigation into allegations of inappropriate behavior made against Christian Horner by a female employee. After a weeks-long process that dominated the headlines, Horner was cleared of all wrongdoing. He was emphatically backed by the majority shareholders of Red Bull GmbH. It seemed, for a moment, that the storm had passed. Horner was in Bahrain, on the grid, and his driver Max Verstappen won the first race of the season. Case closed, right? Wrong. According to this new report, the situation is anything but closed. It appears the initial investigation may not have been the definitive endpoint we were led to believe. New information, or perhaps renewed pressure from certain factions within the Red Bull power structure, has prompted a fresh look into the matter. This is where the internal politics get incredibly messy. Red Bull isn't a monolithic entity. It's a fractured empire. On one side, you have Christian Horner, the long-serving team principal and CEO, backed by Chalerm Uvidya, who represents the Thai side of the ownership. Horner is the face of the racing team's commercial and sporting success. On the other side, you have the Austrian wing of Red Bull, symbolized by the formidable Helmut Marko, the advisor and head of Red Bull's driver development program. Marko is notoriously loyal to the racing DNA of the company and is fiercely protective of his protege Max Verstappen. It's an open secret that Marko and Horner's relationship has been strained for years, a tension magnified 1,000 times by this ongoing scandal. The question everyone is asking is, why now? Why is this bubbling back up to the surface? The timing is suspicious, to say the least. The team is winning, but not with the utter dominance of 2023. McLaren and Ferrari are closing the gap. The last thing a team needs during a fierce title fight is internal distraction. This suggests that the underlying power struggle is so intense that one faction believes undermining Horner, even if it hurts the team's performance, is a necessary step to seize control. And let's not forget the human element here. There's an employee at the center of this, whose life has been turned upside down by global media scrutiny. She has reportedly been suspended on full pay, a move that itself has been controversial. The ongoing legal and corporate machinations ensure that this story remains a painful and public ordeal for all involved. The biggest sword of Damocles hanging over all of this is Max Verstappen. Max's contract is believed to have clauses that could allow him to leave if his key ally, Helmut Marko, were to depart. Verstappen's loyalty to Marko is absolute. He has repeatedly stated that Marko is a crucial reason for his success and his comfort at Red Bull. If this new investigation is seen as a power play by the Horner divided by Thai faction against the Austrian divided by Marko faction, and if it were to result in Marko being forced out, all bets are off. We could be looking at a scenario where the triple world champion, the most valuable asset in motorsport, becomes a free agent. The domino effect would be unimaginable. Mercedes, desperate to replace Lewis Hamilton, would throw a blank check at him. Ferrari would have to consider the unthinkable. The entire driver market, which is already frozen while everyone waits for Carlos Sainz to make a decision, would go into a frenzy. Furthermore, this drama creates a toxic environment within the Milton Keynes factory. Engineers, mechanics, designers, their work is being overshadowed by boardroom battles. How can you focus on extracting the last thousandth of a second from your RB20 when your bosses are engaged in a civil war played out on the front pages of the world's newspapers? This kind of distraction is a luxury no team can afford when the competition is this fierce. In conclusion, this isn't just another headline. This is a 5-alarm fire for Red Bull Racing. A new investigation into Christian Horner doesn't just risk his job. It risks tearing the entire team apart. It risks alienating their superstar driver. It risks handing the initiative to their rivals on the track. The 2024 season is proving to be a thriller on the circuit, but the real battle for the soul of Red Bull Racing is being fought not on the asphalt, but in the shadows of corporate boardrooms. And the outcome of that battle will define Formula One for years to come. First, let's look at the context. Lando Norris is, right now, the hottest property in Formula One not named Max Verstappen. He's young, incredibly talented, immensely popular, and now he's a race winner. He's the cornerstone of the McLaren project. Under Zak Brown's leadership, McLaren has pulled itself up from the midfield to become genuine race winners and title contenders. They have a state-of-the-art wind tunnel, a new simulator, and a technical team led by the brilliant Andrea Stella that is firing on all cylinders. Lando is under a long-term contract, and he consistently speaks about his belief in the project and his happiness with the team. So why would he ever leave? Well, this is Formula One, and the allure of driving for the most dominant team of the era is a powerful thing. And this is where Helmut Marko comes in. Marko is the master strategist behind Red Bull's driver program. He spotted Sebastian Vettel, he nurtured Daniel Ricciardo, and most importantly, he fiercely protected and promoted Max Verstappen. His eye for talent is unmatched. When Marko speaks about a driver's future, you listen. In this interview, he was effusive in his praise for Norris. He acknowledged his speed, his racecraft, and his maturity. But the key quote was something along the lines of, and I'm paraphrasing, "Norris is certainly a candidate for a top team in the future, and we are, of course, always interested in the best drivers." Now, on the surface, that sounds like a standard paddock compliment. But coming from Marko, it's more than that. He's not one for empty flattery. This is a calculated statement. It serves multiple purposes. Firstly, it's a genuine acknowledgement of Norris's talent. Secondly, and more strategically, it's a classic Marko move to apply subtle pressure. It's a message to the market and, crucially, to Norris himself. We are watching, and we are interested. Let's talk about the timeline. Sergio Perez's contract with Red Bull is up at the end of this season. His seat is the most coveted and most pressured in the sport. The number 2 driver at Red Bull is expected to be close enough to Max to secure Constructors' Championships and pick up wins when Max has a problem. It's a brutally difficult job, as Pierre Gasly and Alex Albon can attest. Checo started this season strong, but his performances have become more inconsistent, and the gap to Verstappen has grown again. Red Bull is openly evaluating alternatives, with names like Carlos Sainz and Yuki Tsunoda in the mix. But Lando Norris represents a different level of opportunity. He is arguably the only driver on the grid, alongside maybe Charles Leclerc, who possesses the raw speed to potentially challenge Verstappen within the same team. A Verstappen-Norris lineup would be the most explosive and talented pairing on the grid, a dream for fans and a nightmare for rivals. However, the obstacles are enormous. Firstly, contract. Lando is locked in at McLaren. While contracts in F1 can be broken, it takes a lot of money and willpower. Secondly, would Red Bull want such a potent intra-team rivalry? The history of pairing 2 alphas at Red Bull is fraught with danger. Think Vettel versus Webber, or Verstappen versus Ricciardo. It creates immense internal tension. Would Dr. Marko and Christian Horner want to risk destabilizing the harmony they have with Max, who is clearly the number 1? And from Lando's perspective, is it the right move? He is the undisputed team leader at McLaren. The entire team is built around him. He has a fantastic relationship with his teammate, Oscar Piastri. Moving to Red Bull would mean stepping into Max Verstappen's yard. It would be the ultimate challenge, but it would also be a huge risk to his reputation. If he were to go up against Max and come out second best, it could redefine his career in a way he might not want. Perhaps Marko's prediction is for the longer term. Max Verstappen has, at times, expressed frustrations with the direction of the sport and has even hinted at a potential early retirement. If Max were to leave Red Bull in, say, 2028, then a 29-year-old Lando Norris, in his prime, would be the perfect leading man to take over the team. Ultimately, Marko's comments are a testament to Norris's skyrocketing stock. He is no longer the plucky underdog. He is a Grand Prix winner and a bona fide superstar. Whether he ever drives for Red Bull or not, he has the talent to build a world championship winning project around him at McLaren. But the mere fact that Helmut Marko is publicly speculating about his future means that the possibility is on the table. And in the high-stakes poker game of Formula One driver negotiations, that is a very powerful card to hold. Let's set the stage. At the start of the 2024 season, Fernando Alonso's future was the biggest question mark in the driver market. His existing contract with Aston Martin was ending, and he was openly courted by rivals. Most notably, he was the number 1 target for Mercedes to replace the Ferrari-bound Lewis Hamilton. It was a tantalizing prospect, the legendary Spaniard in the Silver Arrows, a final shot at a third world title with a legendary team. But it didn't happen. Alonso chose to re-sign with Aston Martin, a team that, while promising, is still a step behind the top 3 of Red Bull, Ferrari, and McLaren. On the surface, it seemed like a surprising choice. Why turn down Mercedes? The newly revealed details of his contract explain everything. First and foremost, it's about length and stability. Alonso's new deal is reported to be a straight 2-year contract, taking him to the end of the 2026 season. This is crucial. 2026 is the next great regulatory reset in Formula One with new engine and chassis rules. It's a chance for the competitive order to be completely reshuffled. Alonso has signed up for the entire first cycle of these new rules. He isn't looking for a 1-year stopgap. He's all in on the Aston Martin project. This immediately differentiates it from the Mercedes offer. It's widely believed that Mercedes, while interested, may have only offered a 1+1 deal, a 1-year contract with an option for a second. For a 42-year-old driver, that's a risky proposition. He could have spent 2025 getting used to a new team, only for them to decide not to take up his option for 2026, leaving him high and dry right as the new regulations hit. With Aston Martin, he has guaranteed security and the chance to see the fruits of the team's massive investment. And what investment? It island. This is the second key part of the deal: belief in the project. Aston Martin is building a literal super team. They have a brand new, state-of-the-art factory at Silverstone, one of the most impressive facilities in the entire world of motorsport. They have a new wind tunnel coming online. They have poached top talent from other teams, including Red Bull's star aerodynamicist Dan Fallows. For Alonso, this isn't just about driving a car. It's about being the central figure in building a championship-winning team from the ground up. He has a seat at the table, with immense influence over the direction and development of the car. At Mercedes, he would have been replacing a legend, stepping into a pre-established structure. The third element is partnership. Alonso has found a kindred spirit in team principal Mike Crack and, crucially, in billionaire owner Lawrence Stroll. Stroll's ambition is limitless. He is investing hundreds of millions of dollars, not to be 5th or 6th, but to win world championships. Alonso sees that ambition and believes in it. He has a fantastic relationship with Lance Stroll, which creates a stable and harmonious team environment, something that has not always been the case in Fernando's career. Finally, there's the personal aspect. Alonso is comfortable at Aston Martin. He is valued not just as a driver, but as a leader and an icon. This contract likely comes with significant commercial opportunities, linked to the Aston Martin brand, extending his career beyond his driving days. He can see a future for himself within the organization. By staying, Alonso has also taken himself out of the annual silly season circus. He has stability. The driver market can now move forward, with Carlos Sainz deciding between Sauber divided by Audi and Williams, and Mercedes now having to look squarely at promoting young Andrea Kimi Antonelli or taking a chance on Sainz. In conclusion, Fernando Alonso's new contract is a masterstroke from both driver and team. It's a declaration of long-term faith. He isn't chasing a quick fix, he's building a legacy. He believes that with the facilities, the investment, the personnel, and his own unparalleled experience, Aston Martin can be at the front when the new era begins in 2026. He has bet on himself and his team. Whether that bet pays off with a third world title remains to be seen, but one thing is for sure. The story of Fernando Alonso is far from over, and its next chapters will be written in British racing green. Let's start with what we know for sure. The top teams have one seat locked down, but their second seats are sources of immense speculation. Red Bull. Max Verstappen is locked in until 2028, but Sergio Perez's seat is the hottest topic in the paddock. His contract is up, and his form has been a roller coaster. Red Bull is openly evaluating replacements, from within their own ranks with Yuki Tsunoda and Liam Lawson, or from the outside, with Carlos Sainz being the prime candidate. This is domino has shown. They've already pulled the trigger on the biggest move. Charles Leclerc is on a long-term deal, and Lewis Hamilton is arriving in 2025. That means Carlos Sainz, a race winner this very season, is out. His availability is the catalyst for this entire market freeze. He is the key domino. The Papaya team is the picture of stability. Lando Norris is signed until the end of 2025 at least, and Oscar Piastri is locked in until the end of 2026. Their lineup is set, and is arguably the most exciting young pairing on the grid. No moves here. This is the biggest question mark after Red Bull. With Hamilton leaving for Ferrari, a coveted seat opens up. Toto Wolff has options: the experienced race-winning Carlos Sainz, or the gamble on 7-year-old prodigy Andrea Kimi Antonelli. Their decision will be domino hash 2. Aston Martin. The second green seat was just confirmed. Fernando Alonso's new multi-year deal means he's staying. Lance Stroll's seat is owned by his father, Lawrence, so it's his for as long as he wants it. Their lineup is confirmed, Alonso and Stroll. Now, let's get to the chaos, the midfield and the back markers. This is where the dominoes will fall hardest. Alpine. Both seats are available. Esteban Ocon and Pierre Gasly are out of contract. Alpine is in a rebuilding year, languishing at the back. They need a complete reset. They could promote from their junior academy, or they could become a landing spot for drivers who exit out, miss out on top seats. They are a prime destination for Domino #3 and #4. Alex Albon is under contract, but is being chased by every team with a vacancy. His performances have been stellar. However, team principal James Vowles is desperate to build around him. The second seat, currently occupied by Logan Sargent, is under severe threat. Carlos Sainz is also a major target for Williams, who see him as a statement signing to lead their ambitious project. They are a key player. VCAR brand. Both Yuki Tsunoda and Daniel Ricciardo have something to prove. Tsunoda is driving the best he ever has, making a strong case for that Red Bull seat. Ricciardo needs to find his old form to secure his F1 future. Their fate is directly tied to what happens at Red Bull. This is Domino #5 and #6. This is arguably the most intriguing seat. Valtteri Bottas and Zhou Guanyu are almost certainly out. The team is transforming into the factory Audi Works team for 2026. They have money, ambition, and a blank canvas. They have thrown a massive multi-year contract offer at Carlos Sainz to be their franchise driver. They are all in on him. Their entire plan hinges on Sainz's decision. This is the episode